he lost everything. But what he found afterward changed his life forever. And if you've ever looked in the mirror and barely recognized the person staring back, this story might feel uncomfortably close. Because sometimes rock bottom isn't a place, it is the moment that forces you to face who you've become. Before we begin, a quick note. If you like stories that go deep and make you think, consider subscribing and leaving a small comment. It takes you a second, but it's what keeps this channel alive and allows me to bring you more stories like this one. They say a man only discovers who he truly is when the world around him falls apart. For him, that moment came in a single sentence. We're letting you go. The words hit like a punch. Not loud, just final. He stood in a small office overlooking the city where he had built his life. The silence after the sentence was louder than the sentence itself. His boss spoke about restructuring, metrics, and nothing personal. Corporate words with no value when your entire future is being erased. He walked out carrying a box with 10 years of his life inside, a family photo, a notebook full of plans, and a cracked coffee mug. Outside, the city kept moving. Cars honked, people rushed, and the world didn't stop just because his did. He sat on a bench outside the building, staring at his shaking hands. Not from anger, but disbelief. 3 years earlier, he had been the man everyone pointed to as someone who made it. Good job, good salary, good life. But somewhere along the way, the days blurred into routine. He woke up tired and went to bed empty. Now the path had vanished. He drove home slowly, placed the box on the kitchen counter, and stared at it as if expecting answers. Bills arrived. Savings disappeared. Interviews turned into polite rejections. We decided to move forward with another candidate, chipped pieces from the identity he had defended for years. Without the title and the success, he no longer knew who he was. His days grew heavier. He stopped answering messages, stopped pretending. He woke up late, not because he wanted rest, but because facing another directionless day was painful. He told no one, not friends, not family. He had always been the one others relied on, and falling apart in front of them felt unacceptable. One night he sat at the kitchen table with a bill he could pay, but after that, the math stopped working. He lowered his head and cried quietly, because some breakdowns happen in silence. He realized he hadn't lost everything that day at the office. He had lost himself long before. The turning point came on an ordinary morning. He walked through the city just to feel movement around him. He reached a park and saw 2 older men playing chess, laughing, debating, living with simplicity. One of them looked at him and said, "Game changes when you stop playing not to lose." He didn't understand at first. The man smiled. When you stop living afraid of failing, you finally start living. It felt like someone opened a window in a room long shut. That night he wrote in his old notebook, "I wasn't fired today, I was released." He realized he had never lived for himself, only for titles, targets, and applause that never lasted. For the first time in years, he asked, "What do I want?" He didn't know the answer, but the next morning he woke up earlier, not for a boss, but for himself. He started small, making breakfast, cleaning the apartment, reading again, breathing deeper. He updated his resume differently this time, not to impress, but to state who he truly was. He applied to fewer jobs, but the ones aligned with his values. He took online courses, not to prove anything, but to reignite curiosity. He called old friends. He told his family the truth. He wasn't hiding anymore. Rejections didn't hurt the same. They became signs pointing him somewhere better. Weeks became months. Then a message came. A small company wanted someone who thought like he did. They cared about ideas, story, and mindset, not just a title. The interviews felt different. He wasn't performing or selling a polished version of himself. He was simply himself, and that was enough. He got the job. Not the highest paying, not the most prestigious. But on his first day, he felt something he had forgotten. Lightness. He worked with people who valued authenticity. He had space to think, create, and breathe. He slept better. He lived slower. One night he stood in the same kitchen where he had cried months earlier, same apartment, same man. But everything had changed. He looked at the old box and understood. He hadn't lost everything. He had lost the life that wasn't his. What he gained, mattered more. Clarity, humility, purpose, identity. He knew who he was without the title, without applause, without the costume of success. He was a man who had broken and rebuilt himself from the foundation, and that kind of construction doesn't collapse again. Sometimes life doesn't take something from you. It removes what was never meant to stay, creating space for the person you were always meant to become. And if this story spoke to you, take a moment to like, comment, or subscribe if you haven't yet. It's a small gesture on your side, but it's what allows this channel to keep bringing you stories that matter. And before you go, check one of the videos on the screen. You might find the next chapter you didn't know you needed. I'll see you in the next one.